The Sovereign Lord by Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye is a spiritually insightful book that explores the absolute authority, power, and supremacy of God over all creation. The book focuses on understanding God's sovereignty, that He does as He pleases, when He pleases, how He pleases, and with whomever He pleases, without answering to any higher authority. Pastor Adeboye, with deep scriptural insight and real-life illustrations, breaks down what it means to serve a sovereign God and how believers can position themselves to enjoy His divine favor, mercy, and intervention. Major themes and key insights. 1. Understanding God's sovereignty. God is the ultimate authority over all the earth and heavens. Nothing happens without His knowledge and permission. Psalm 115 verse 3. But our God is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever He hath pleased. Sets the foundation of the book. His sovereignty is not limited by human will, national boundaries, or spiritual forces. He can elevate the lowly and bring down the mighty, as seen in the lives of biblical characters like Joseph, David, and Nebuchadnezzar. 2. God chooses whom to bless or use. Pastor Adeboye emphasizes that God does not choose people based on merit or status, but by divine prerogative. For example, David was chosen over his more physically qualified brothers. Because God sees the heart, God's selection often defies human logic. He can pick a shepherd boy, like David, a slave, like Joseph, or a stammerer, like Moses, and use them for His glory. 3. God's mercy is a product of His sovereignty. One of the most powerful expressions of God's sovereignty is His mercy. Romans 9 verse 15. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. No one can earn God's mercy. It is bestowed according to His will. Seeking mercy is thus a key to unlocking divine favor. 4. God's sovereignty overrides protocols and patterns. Pastor Adeboye discusses how God often operates outside man-made systems, protocols, and expectations. Examples include parting the Red Sea to deliver Israel, feeding multitudes with 5 loaves and 2 fish, causing water to come out of a rock. These supernatural interventions reveal God's ability to suspend natural laws to fulfill His purpose. 5. Humility and submission to God's sovereignty. A vital lesson throughout the book is the importance of recognizing our limited, understanding, and submitting to God's will. Human pride and resistance to divine authority often lead to failure and divine discipline, e.g., Pharaoh Saul. Humble obedience positions a person for divine promotion and relevance. 6. Living in reverence and trust. Believers must live with a constant awareness of God's supremacy. Fear, reverence of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Trusting in God's sovereignty, even when His actions seem mysterious, is essential for peace and spiritual growth. 7. Divine timing and delays. Pastor Adeboye explains that sometimes what appears to be delay is part of God's sovereign timing. God's not yet is not a no. Abraham, Joseph, and Hannah had to wait, but the outcomes of their waiting glorified God and fulfilled His perfect will. 8. Prayers that move the sovereign Lord. While God is sovereign, He still listens to prayers and can be moved by intercession and worship. Examples include Hezekiah's extended life, the deliverance of Nineveh after Jonah's prophecy. Righteous living, worship, and heartfelt prayer are tools for engaging God's mercy. 9. Divine judgment and justice. God's sovereignty also encompasses judgment. He punishes rebellion, injustice, and sin, sometimes swiftly, sometimes after a season of grace. However, His justice is always fair, even if human minds struggle to comprehend it. 10. Practical application for believers. Submit to God's will completely. Avoid pride and comparison with others. Seek God's mercy and favor continually. Trust God's process and timing. Live a life of holiness and obedience to position oneself for divine use. Conclusion. The Sovereign Lord by Pastor E. A. Adeboye is a profound revelation of God's absolute authority and power. It calls believers to submit in humility, walk in holiness, trust in God's perfect timing, and seek His mercy rather than rely on personal effort or qualifications. The book reminds us that we serve a God who is not limited by human expectations and that our destinies are safe in the hands of the Almighty. If you enjoy this audiobook summary, Do well to like and subscribe for a more insightful and faith-lifting book. Grab a copy of this book today for more depth.